nothing really happens. They say money doesn't buy happiness and all this kinds of stuff. Well, guess what? Try and live without it in North America. It's pretty darn challenging. So generally speaking, we need money here. You need to have cash and access to it and ability to pay bills. And if you don't have access to money, or something bad happens and you're a couple of paychecks away from the whole thing imploding, man, that's a stressful, tough way to go through life. And it just doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be that way. Hello and welcome. My name is Vern McCarty. I'm an authorized infinite banking practitioner through the Nelson Nash Institute, and I'm a coach on the Ascendant financial team. I work with good people just like you every single day, coaching them on the process of becoming your own banker and how to implement that process into their own lives to get ahead financially. In fact, today's video title is Getting Ahead Financially versus Being Lost and Frustrated. And I can tell you, lost and frustrated is something that I've experienced personally in my own life. And I'm coming at you today in this video from a place of experience, having been lost and frustrated, and now really getting ahead financially and just feeling confident and powerful day in and day out. I've spoken to hundreds of people on this process, and I work with my team, and we have years and years of experience, and we've personally held the hands of thousands of Canadians to walk them from A to Z how to implement this process in their own lives. And now those people are all gaining momentum and getting ahead financially. And a lot of them, when they've showed up to talk to us, people come from all walks of life, but in some cases they were feeling lost and feeling frustrated and annoyed and not sure what to do. This has been my experience in terms of lost and frustrated. I used to work in the construction industry. Nothing wrong with that. That was great. As a young man, I was raising a young family, I was making pretty good money. And I dealt with the same problem that many of the clients that we run into, the people that we're talking to, are dealing with today. Maybe you're dealing with this problem. You're doing okay. You've got income coming in, your bills are caught up. Maybe you're putting a little bit of money aside, but you still never really feel like you're getting ahead. You never really feel like you're really thriving. Part of the problem is for at least for me back then, I really just didn't have the experience. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have any guidance. And I'm not talking about a financial advisor or a financial plan or putting money into the hands of somebody else who thinks they can do better with it than you can and putting your money at risk in the stock market. I'm talking about just in general, having the confidence in terms of, how do I actually manage my cash flow? How do I manage my money? What should I be doing? Where should I be putting capital? So it was kind of just, hey, you know what? I go to work, I get paid, money lands in the bank, the bills come out, and my money drains down. And then maybe I save a little bit, and then I go back to work to pile up the money again. And then it goes away because I have to use it. And you're constantly in that cycle where you're coming up a little bit, then you spend the money, and then you come up a little bit, and then you spend the money. And then what happens? Life happens. You need to buy a new vehicle. You need the down payment for the house. You need to fix the furnace. Your parents are aging and not doing well financially, or someone gets sick or hurt, or we lose a job. Life happens. All of a sudden, inevitably, you need access to a large amount of capital, and you might be lost and frustrated. Where am I going to get it? How am I going to get it? How am I going to pay it back? Will I qualify? I got to jump through all those hoops. Oh, I made this mistake a couple of years ago. I'm a good person. Nothing's wrong. But now I look really bad because maybe some credit score says that you're not a good person and the bank doesn't want to loan you that money, right? So we just don't have the control and the power that we should have in our own hands. And that's what the process of becoming your own banker is all about. So being lost and frustrated, having some cash, but not really knowing 100% what to do with it. And it always seems to be leaving. So you always just have to keep going back and working even harder to have that money come back in. Now, I shifted industries. I shifted gears in my own life, in my own past. I went from construction. There's nothing wrong, like I said, being in construction. If that's something that you really enjoy and you're doing that by choice, then enjoy that and do that. Be in the trades. That's great. It's all about staying in your unique ability and doing what you think best serves your life and humanity and all those kinds of things. And we need different people in different industries to do different things. And for me, I was really in the construction industry because I felt like that's the best that I could do. That's where I was at. I felt like, picking things up and putting things down for a living and swinging a hammer and whatnot was just my lease in life. It wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do, but I bought into the idea that that was the best that I could do. And I did quite well at it. And I have skills that have stayed with me for a lifetime as a result. So I'm very grateful for that experience. But all things change in life, and we can grow and we can change and we can acquire. And I decided, you know what, when I was still a pretty young man, about 10 years ago, I was like, I want to change my life. 15 years ago ish, I started reading books. I started, discovering personal development and doing these different things. And I knew that I wanted to do something better with my life. I wanted to help people get ahead. I wasn't really getting ahead myself. I thought, you know what, maybe I could get into the financial industry. I started studying about, mortgages, and started studying, and I ended up in the insurance industry. So fast forward, you go through the insurance business or whatever industry that you're changing into, and it's very challenging. And you're trying to learn all these things, and you're still trying. I still had a family to feed, and very, a lot of things I was responsible for to take care of. And guess what? A lot of that time I was feeling lost and frustrated. I wasn't sure what to do. And so it was very challenging. So as I started to grow and learn more and do better, and I got on the right path, I learned about the process of becoming your own banker, and I started practicing the process of becoming your own banker in my own life. Guess what? Everything started to get better. I started to get more confidence. I started to attract coaches and mentors and team members and colleagues. And I started to have higher level conversations, and I started to build confidence. And more importantly, I had a plan. I now knew what I needed to do to start to thrive and get ahead financially. So that's the key part to this whole thing, is feeling lost and frustrated. It's all about who you surround yourself with, and what are you listening to? What are you consuming? Garbage in, garbage out, right? If I'm around people who, sometimes we love these people, sometimes they're close to us, or we've been around with them for a long time. And this is one of the most difficult parts about growth and changing your life, is you have to change your environment. You have to change the people that you're hanging out with. You have to change the things that you're reading and the things that you're listening to. And you have to start to filter out and ignore all of the noise. There's a lot of noise out there in general, but financially speaking, there's a lot of people out there who are telling us to do certain things, and it doesn't really seem to get us ahead. So you have to start to vet the people that you're hanging out with and the information that you're consuming, and you have to follow the money, figure out where the money's going and who it's being put to work for. And that's what the process of becoming your own banker is all about. So having experienced, struggle with money and not knowing where the next bill is going to come from, the biggest challenge about that is not the fact that you won't be able to pay your bills. You'll figure it out as you have. I figured it out. I had $0, and somehow I always managed to keep things going. That's not the challenge. The challenge is the drain of energy and attention units and the stress that being behind financially brings. Think about it. Nothing really happens. They say money doesn't buy happiness and all this kinds of stuff. Well, guess what? Try and live without it in North America. It's pretty darn challenging. So generally speaking, we need money here. You need to have cash and access to it and ability to pay bills. And if you don't have access to money, or something bad happens and you're a couple of paychecks away from the whole thing imploding, man, that's a stressful, tough way to go through life. And it just doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be that way. So I remember hearing many years ago, Jack Canfield, I'm not sure if you're familiar with who that is, but he wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, or co-wrote that. And he's a very well-known coach and in the personal development space. And he talked about something called attention units. So, everything that's in your life that's incomplete, whether it's fixing that broken light switch all the way to, paying off some debt or dealing with some back taxes or whatever, those things that are incomplete in your life are taking up attention units in your brain. It's like the RAM on your computer. You only have so much space or so much ability to process data. It's like that in your brain as well, right? So when we have things that are not workable and they're disorganized and they're incomplete in our life, it takes up attention units. And one of the biggest ones is money. I mean, think about it. We know that that's the leading cause of a divorce in a lot of cases, a breakdown between family members, sometimes business partners. Money can get in the way of a lot of things, or at least that's kind of the scapegoat. So once you're able to gain confidence and solve the banking equation and have more money flowing back toward you. And you start to gain cash flow confidence, and it's simple and it's easy, and you're not putting your money at risk. You start to gain a lot more confidence and a lot more clarity in your life. You have a lot more creative capacity to do other things and get to the things that you weren't able to get to in the past. And by taking care of yourself and your own finances, that puts you in a position to be able to contribute more to society, to your family, to your community, and to share ideas with other people so that more people can thrive. There's a common misconception that I'm in this alone. I got to get mine. And the reality of it is, A, we can't do it on our own. And B, the more we actually work together, share ideas, share resources, think abundantly, the more we'll all thrive. We just have this narrative out there where there's not enough for everybody. And I just going to call total BS on that. That's total BS. There's actually more than enough for everybody. It's just a matter of changing the process and tapping into what it is that you need to have access to, right? And a lot of times it's knowledge. A lot of times it's mentorship. A lot of times it's a process. And in this example today, I'm telling you that the process of becoming your own banker was the pathway that I found to go from being lost and confused and frustrated to being confident and thriving and simplifying my life. Now I'm thriving financially and I'm getting ahead financially, and really, things are going well. I'm earning more money and all that kind of stuff. But as I alluded to earlier, it doesn't really matter how much money you make. It matters what you do with that money and how much money you keep. How much of that money is being put to work for you and your family? How much of that money is flowing away from you versus flowing back toward you and being put in your control and accumulating so that you can take advantage of opportunities? And that's what's happening for my family today. Now that we're practicing the concept of becoming your own banker, I don't just teach this to clients because it's a really good idea. So everybody on our team actually practices the concept of becoming your own banker in their own lives. So we're teaching clients the process from experience, having walked the path ourselves. And we get together, we share ideas, and we all thrive and expand our knowledge. And the more you're exposed to this concept, the more you'll see that you didn't see, the more creative ideas you'll get, the different ways that you can implement the process and thrive and get ahead and find ways to have less money flowing away and have more money flowing toward you. So again, thriving financially, now that my family is controlling the banking function in our own lives, we have more and more capital flowing toward us, not just because of all the efforts that we're putting in to earn money. Like I said, it's not about how much you earn, it's about how much you get to keep and how much of that you control and how much of that's being put to work for you. So more and more cash is flowing in toward us as a result of practicing the concept of banking. Again, think about it. All the money is flowing toward the bank, and all the money is being put to work for the banks. Well, if you become the banker, now money is flowing toward you and it's being put to work for you. And you're the one who's controlling and accumulating that capital. And it's going to put you in a position where you can take advantage of more opportunities. And I don't know about you, but I don't believe that there's any such thing as too much money. If you have more than enough money, then you don't need any more money. Guess what? You can still build more and create more so that you have more to share with other people. Bless someone else's life. You get to make a bigger impact. If you have more than enough for yourself, no problem. It just means that there's someone else out there that you can now contribute to in another way. Maybe you can start a foundation, or you can, there's a lot of different initiatives you can take just by the fact that you're creating abundance in your own life. So I'm not saying this is you or true, but a lot of times people will use that type of an attitude. I don't need too much or this or that. It's a way for them to kind of let themselves off the hook, having not achieved whatever it is that they want to achieve. You can do more. So it's just something for you to think about. What else would become available when you start to thrive financially? And the best way for you to thrive financially is by controlling the banking function as it relates to your needs in your own life. Because guess what? It's ridiculously simple. There are great coaches and good mentors out there, people who you can follow who have actually done it before you. I heard in the past, the best mentor that you want to have access to is somebody who has been where you're at and they've got what you want. Think about that. They've been where you're at and they've got what you want. So they can actually speak to you from direct experience, having been in your shoes, and they can walk you through the path. So again, ridiculously simple. And there's lots of people who can show you how to do it. And you don't have to take risk. I grow my wealth every single day. My capital is increasing and expanding, and our family's legacy is growing and getting stronger day in and day out, built on legally binding contracts and guarantees. There's zero risk associated with that. All the risk lives with the organization that facilitates the process. The company that I'm a co-owner in, they own all the risk. I don't have any of the risk. The legally binding contract says that all I have to do is make my deposits, and they're on the hook to fulfill all the contractual obligations. If you're hearing what I'm saying and you're liking what I'm saying, and you want to have more information about the process of becoming your own banker so that you can have more money flow toward you, and you can have more cash flow confidence and start to get ahead financially with zero risk, maybe you want to click the link above me so you can get access to a webinar that will be an expanded conversation on the process of becoming your own banker, and you can start your own journey just like I did. Okay, so there's another resource for you. But again, you can get ahead financially, not having to take your money and put it at risk or put it in someone else's hands who thinks that they can do better with it than you can. You can actually have that money flowing back toward you and not have to worry about taking all that risk. And then you get to pick and choose the opportunities that you want to take advantage of. So I hope you found a really good value in this video. Go ahead and click the like button. If you have questions, please leave a comment, reach out to us. We'd be happy to share with you. And more importantly, speaking of sharing, if you know somebody who would get good value out of this video, go ahead and share that with them as well. And I mentioned the webinar earlier. There's also, a playlist of videos beside me that you can tap into to get a better context of the process of becoming your own banker. And you can hear more personal stories and more information that's just going to empower you and put you in a position to get ahead financially. All the best to you. Take care.